Welcome to Isaiah's Reviews Podcast. My name is Isaiah. My co-host name is Sam. You can get to all my social site links through my website, isaiahsreviews.com. You can get to Sam's social links through his website, flipframevideos.com. You can also hire Sam because he runs a small video production company, so if you need anything done, weddings, home tours, music videos, and more, just go there. Listen to this podcast on YouTube, Facebook. You can stream it off the website, isaiahsreviews.com, Tumblr, and SoundCloud, and Spreaker. So now let's get this show on the road. Hey guys, welcome to Isaiah's Reviews Podcast, episode number 12, where we're finally going to get to discuss Enter the Void. This is a film that you can watch yourselves on Netflix for free, sorta, and it's 2 hours and 41 minutes. So now, since Sam recommended it to me, he'll go ahead and tell you kind of the synopsis of it and all that crap.
All right, well, here's the brief synopsis. A U.S. drug dealer living in Tokyo is betrayed by his best friend and killed in a drug deal. His soul, observing the repercussions of his death, seeks resurrection. That is the IMDb brief synopsis. There's a lot of stuff going on in this movie. Like I said, it's got some drug stuff. It's got some Freudian son-mother attraction thing going on. It's got some incest. It's got some sex. It's got some really incredible cinematography too, which I wonder if some is some CGI blended with cinematography. But yeah, that's a brief synopsis. So
yeah. So now, since I watched it, I'm going to try to discuss it from beginning to end, or sort of, because it's going to be...
It kind of bounces all over the place.
Yeah, if you watch it and you're not having an open mind, if you're expecting something and you get something different, you may, go, this sucks. I mean, that would be easy to do. Easy. Because if you see the Netflix reviews, it's like 2 stars out of 5 or something like that, or 1.5. Mm-hmm. And that's justifiable to a degree, because those people gave it 20 minutes, and they're like, nope. And I think that's what that comes from. If you give it the full 2 hours and like 40 minutes, I think you would give it a higher review, because I respected the film.
Yeah.
I thought it was like awesome. I thought the guy that wrote, directed it, or whatever, he set out to do something, and I think he accomplished exactly perfectly what he wanted to do. And man, I have no problems with that. But anyway, it kind of starts out, if my memory is correct, with the guy. Now, this guy is the whole center of everything. And as a matter of fact, when it starts out, you're in his eyes. You're seeing out of his eyes the whole time, really.
First person view, yeah.
Yeah, it's totally first person. And at first, it shows this woman in his Tokyo apartment, I think. Is it Tokyo? Yeah.
Yeah, they're in Tokyo.
And it's really cramped, because Tokyo apartments, if you know anything about how big they are, they're really super tiny, and it's a good description, I think, of how the life is there in the city life. But
claustrophobic.
Yeah.
Very claustrophobic.
And in the low framing doors and stuff like that. I mean, it's just tiny. So you can experience and you see all that good stuff. But it has this girl that leaves the apartment, and they're talking about some stuff or whatever. I don't remember what. But you're kind of like, oh, that's his girlfriend. No. It's his sister.
Yeah.
And it's a really weird vibe. But anyway, she leaves and goes to work or whatever, and he goes into the bathroom. And the cool thing is, this is like the only time you see him seeing himself through the whole film. Mm-hmm. And he's looking at himself through the mirror. And I thought they did a really great job of masking the camera.
Oh, yeah.
And
well, no, he sees himself later, but not from that point of view.
Right. Yeah.
From the back, anyway.
Yeah. But this is the first time of him seeing himself like face to face or something in the mirror, the reflection. And I was like, man, that's awesome. Like how they were able to even include the blinking. Like it's all like,
it feels like you're him. It's it's crazy.
Yeah. It's a thing of beauty to be a 2009 film. That's
what I was going to talk about, is the time in which it came out, and I feel like they're getting all these crazy. Well, we'll get to the camera work later, but there's some other camera work that's crazy. Anyway, keep going.
I think the film's kind of ahead of its time.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so.
Even with content, it was ahead of its time because if I, rewind back to 2009 and then watch this film, I'd be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
The heck? Is this
I'm sure it offended some people. I'm sure.
Oh, absolutely. But anyway, so he's looking at himself and he's washing his face and stuff like that. But he's a drug dealer.
Right.
And we'll just go ahead and say that.
And he's also sampling his own stuff, I think, is he not?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he gets it out of his little fridge all the time and just takes it or whatever. But and this is weird because the film puts you almost time-wise in that person's position. And by that I mean, like, he washes his face off and I think he goes and takes a hit of some drugs or something and lays down. And it really goes into this super long, trippy thing.
Yeah.
Like what he would experience the entire time of it, too. And I'm like,
oh, yeah. He has an outer body
experience.
Yeah. He has an outer body experience. And now having seen it twice, I understand that was them kind of prepping us for what was to come.
Yes. And he also mentions the book. So if you can explain that book title, because you may remember it, and him talking to his sister about it or something.
Crap, I don't remember about the book title. I just remember it was a Buddhism book about the idea that I couldn't understand a lot of it because he's got a buddy who's British or something, and you can't really understand what he's saying all the time. I mean, you can sort of catch bits and pieces, but he's talking about this book that basically talks about how when you die, your body is trapped in this, your spirit's trapped in this world, just kind of floating around, and you're looking for some way to be resurrected. Like you have to find another person having sex or something and hop in there and then you become the baby.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool though, because he's telling his sister this and she's like, you got to stay away from this guy. It's garbage, whatever. I think right there at the beginning.
Yeah.
So that puts that book in the back of your mind and the fact that you can have these outer body experiences. Mm-hmm. And later on, like we'll kind of fast forward because we're going to have to. He has this long trip, and then he goes. His friend shows up, and
that's when we get the exposition about the book. Because his friend comes. They go to some place. They're going to the Void. Right. I think is the place they're going to go to. He's got to go do a drug deal with a guy that he's known for a while, and his buddy, I forget his name. He drops a line. He's like, "Did you actually sleep with dude's mother that they're going to go meet?" And he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, that's messed up, man." But then on the way there, we get the exposition about this book, and he, I mean, like I said, it's hard to understand what he's saying, but you hear him talking, basically telling you exactly about what the movie is about.
Yeah, I mean, there's so little dialogue, and that if you listen to everything, it tells you everything that's going to happen, or explains everything that's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so he talks about the book, the outer body, and like I think he had even had like an almost outer body thing, like he had been trying and meditating to have it, and maybe he like had it once or something.
Maybe. I think you might be right on that.
I think it was something like that. But anyway, so just keep in mind that this book on outer body stuff is in this guy's mind, and he's going to meet this young kid that he's friends with, and for whatever reason the young kid won't go buy the drugs from him because he's a drug dealer, and he's also from America and gone over to Tokyo to become this drug dealer. Yeah, and so he goes to this place, the Void or whatever, and he's going to do the drug deal with him, and come to find out it's a setup. The young boy had set him up with the authorities, so he runs off into the bathroom at this bar, locks himself in there, and he's flushing all these pills and stuff down the toilet, and then he's like, get back, I have a gun, and all this stuff, and then all of a sudden, and then remember, this is all first person. From his perspective, and it does a great job of that. And all of a sudden, he's like looking, or he gets shot, kind of looking down, and you see this blood bust out of his chest, and he dies. And you see this outer body thing happening, like where he
sees himself dead.
Right,
he floats out of his body, and anyway,
I wonder if the knowledge of the book is what helps him figure out how to maneuver around out of his body.
Maybe. I don't know if he was trying to say that you need to, because he has been reading the book, I think, right?
Right. Yeah. You would assume, I guess.
And you know what? Maybe that's what he's been trying to do, because at the beginning he was getting messed. He kept talking to his sister, about the
right.
book, and then he was like, "It's really great. You got to read it." And then he sits down and has that trippy outer body experience. I think maybe he's been practicing it.
Right. Yeah,
So
I think that's the idea of it. That this is a real thing. Like,
Mhm.
he's been getting really messed up and trippy and attempting to have these outer body things like the book talks about. But anyway, he dies. So he's finally having this actual outer body thing. And I think it kind of fumbles around. Like, you see him floating through the city. He goes and sees his sister in real time. I think it seems to be real time. He sees his friend outside.
Yeah, it's crazy. He comes out of his body. He sees the inspector or the cops come in and start messing with him, checking him, seeing if he's dead, and then he floats. It's like he's a spirit. He can kind of go through walls and go wherever he wants to. He comes out and he sees his buddy out there, and then he hears the people screaming inside, and he's like, "What's going on?" It's like you're seeing things from his spirit perspective, and he's just kind of following these people's lives and seeing what happened after he died.
Yeah, and
it's all one continuous, or it attempts to be one continuous shot for the most part.
And I think they do a great job of masking the cuts.
Like, oh, yeah, for sure.
It'll be like a wall flick by or something like that. Even when it pulls out and he's going super fast through the city, that looks really good and real.
Yeah, and I love how the sound is. Like, the sound change, like when he goes from outside to inside, and it happens like very quick, like you'll hear all the cars and stuff, and then he goes inside, and it's just like interior sound, and then it's just crazy. The amount of detail put into this film is what's really impressive.
Oh, it's amazing. It had to take forever. Like, it come out in 2009, but he had to start really working on this like in 2007.
Oh, I don't doubt it.
There's no way he can come out with the thing in the same year. It's just
sure
not possible. No. But one of the cool things that happens, like, he's starting to venture around out of his body, and you can honestly see the progression of him being able to control it better and better and better as it goes.
And you notice when, like, they'll do transitions, I guess, and he always seems to go into circular shapes or whatever. And then, you know what I'm talking about? You remember that?
Like the light fixture or like something round or whatever.
Yeah, anything round or relatively round, it will like, I don't know. And it's crazy. The camera lens will do this crazy warp, and it's all within the same. It's like they put a different lens on, but you don't see them do it. I don't understand. It goes from like what feels like a 24 millimeter lens to all of a sudden it warps into a like 14 millimeter lens or even wider. It's crazy. But anyway, sorry.
Yeah, it's nuts, man. And I think the graininess of it all, the tint of it all and all that helps it become believable through these transitions and the CGI with real shots. I mean,
and I don't know if you remember. There was like this crazy flicker that always kind of sort of started happening whenever he would do or whenever anything intense. Like, and we left out the credits at the beginning. You see the entire credits at the beginning of the film.
You see the end at the beginning.
Yeah, and it's like it's doing that crazy flicker, and it's just speeding through it. It's really it's really bizarre. Anyway, sorry.
I loved it. I loved that, but it's neat that he goes to see his sister, and his sister. I'm not going to be good at has it or has they show it through. So I'm just going to try to hit on what he kind of observes from his sister's point of view, and it goes back and forth in time as like a memory fused with what he's actually seeing out of his body now.
Yeah,
and pretty much him and his sister was in his parents' vehicle. They have a car crash, and both his parents die. His sister ends up. He's able to get up enough money, I think, to pay for his sister to come to Tokyo with him.
Well, what happened when his parents died? They get split up as orphans, and they made a blood pact that they would never leave each other.
Right.
And then they get split up as orphans. But the scene where their parents die is really horrific because their parents die right in front of them. Their blood is like splattered all over. It's like a really horrific, horrible thing for a child to see, and I think that's kind of the point of this film is like the ramifications of it. But
like how hard that can be on children, separated or whatever, and of course experiencing something like that. But it's cool because it goes back and revisits that crash in different point of views and different shots. Like
Oh yeah,
sporadically through the
the
thing.
film.
So
Also, we get a lot of shots of him, the mother nude, and
right, and breastfeeding and
breastfeeding, and then them in the tub, and then we also get a shot where he sees his mother and father having sex. I think that's like supposed to be the kind of Freudian sort of influence to the film, because some of this sort of comes back later. Anyway,
yeah, I
we'll
think
keep going.
it's just you're actually experiencing every emotion that he has, every thought that he has, and
Hmm.
of the past and the future, which we'll get to later. But his body's able to, remember the past, and what he's doing, he's kind of going to look at his sister, which is a stripper now, and she's strung out on drugs. After she finally comes to Tokyo, hey, nice to meet you. There's those awkward little kissies, and she'll put his tongue like
She put her tongue
yeah.
like in his ear. It's like, whoa, what's going on?
Yeah,
Like,
it's like really like she's obsessed over him so much she's
yeah,
kind of in love with him.
yeah, she's sexually attracted to him. I
Right,
mean,
because
he's kind of neglectful towards it. I mean, he loves her, but it's like he's like,
yeah, he just plays that off and just whatever. I don't
yeah,
think he's into that at all, but she's just been away from him for so long and has fixated on him for so much. She's actually sort of attracted to him, even though it's his sister. But
I think
so
it's
there's those
important to
things.
note that he was the older sibling too. And I
Right.
think he kind of took care of her, so she
Yeah.
like looks to him to
Yeah.
keep her safe. But anyway, keep going.
So we're battling that stuff, like the incest side of it, and it's really
Yeah.
odd, and it's kind of raw. Like you respect the fact that how in the hell did this guy get the funding for this film? Like you lay this out and you go, I need money for this, and somebody's like, yeah. I mean, I don't understand how that happens, because if he put that in front of me, I'm like, you're out of your mind. Get out of my office.
Well, I mean, again, there was a Japanese crew, and you know how the Japanese make some really bizarre, messed up
Oh,
films.
that's
So
true.
I wonder if it was funded over there.
It
You
had
know?
to be. There's no way that they would, over here in the U.S., wouldn't take that chance. We just now had a rated R Marvel movie. So
Oh, yeah, exactly.
taking that chance, I don't
Uh,
even think what is it, the Independent Film Channel? What is it, IFS?
IFC.
IFC. I don't even think they would fund that.
It's
don't
it
think.
well it said it was
Oh, it was IFC, wasn't it?
picked up by. I guess they
Oh,
picked it
they
up
picked
later.
it up. Yeah, after
Yeah.
the fact. But the initial funding, I think that had to come from something else. But anyway, so he's flying over, looking overhead, and it shows his sister in a relationship with the pimp,
Hmm.
and she's drugged out of her head. She's having sex with the pimp, and the brother watches this as a spirit, which is kind of odd too. Kind of plays in that incest a
He
little
watches her have sex.
bit, right?
This movie. I wonder if there. I mean,
And it
there was
shows a
some
penis.
sex. Oh, it does more.
Yeah, I think either they've got it like a strap on or whatever, like a fake penis,
Yeah.
to justify like not being a porno.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Do you? Well, I won't get ahead of myself. We'll get to that point. We'll talk about that scene. Anyway, keep going.
But so she ends up. I'm gonna like fast forward, like okay.
She finds out that he's dead. She
Right.
cries about it, and then we get flashbacks again, but it's from the like perspective of behind the guy. Like the I guess his spirit is like kind of following behind him in time.
Yeah,
and
like
we
looks through
kinda
his
see-
eyes or something,
Well, it's like it's not through. It's like
or over his shoulder.
it's like an semi over the shoulder shot. We're just behind him the whole time, and we never see his face. It's a really interesting way to do the rest of the film. But it's like kind of behind him. We see like his earlier stages of being in Tokyo before his sister came over there, and basically his whole goal when he was over there was he was trying to find a job to figure out a way to get his sister over there to buy her a plane ticket because she couldn't afford one. And he decides to become a drug dealer. And it's basically, it shows all the people he meets. And one of the people that he meets is the guy that screwed him over at the beginning that ended up getting him killed, which is a younger kid. And he meets this kid. He goes over to this kid's house and meets his family and his mother, who used to be a stripper, and ends up having sexual relations with her, which becomes a problem later on. What happens next? Let's see. He meets the actual drug dealer. Remember, his buddy You still there?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, it just got real quiet. His buddy, the one that you met earlier, God, this is so difficult. The buddy that he met earlier that showed him the Buddhism book or Buddhism religious book. It's like, well, okay, if you want to get into drug dealing, I know a guy. So they go there. He introduces the two of them, and that's where he starts becoming a drug dealer. This guy gets his hands on all kinds of drugs, and he keeps asking the guy about DRM.
Yeah, some kind of hallucinate or something.
Yeah, I don't. You drug dealers out there, or you druggies out there, you're making fun of us, but whatever. Some hallucinogen, and he always asks him for it. But anyway, that's where he starts getting his, I guess, supply from. The little, I guess, the younger kid, the one that screwed him over, I guess is just one of his clients.
Yeah, I think that's how
they also become friends or sort of something like that. I'm trying to think of what else. I mean, there's a lot of stuff happening here. There's a lot of actual. This is when some dialogue actually does start to happen. You start kind of hearing a little bit more about him and what we do flashback. It periodically will flash back to a time when him and the sister, like, I guess, were older and talked about the pact that they had, and then God, I don't know. I'm lost now.
No, I think the young kid that turned him in, that got him killed, he kind of saw like some dialogue, or they might have kissed each other or something in the kitchen, his mom and him, and then he's like, "Are you screwing my mom?" And he's like, "Yeah," and he got really upset.
Oh, I don't think any of that happens until he finally gets up enough money to get his sister out there.
Right.
His sister gets out there, which I think we already talked about that. That's when all the weird incestual stuff starts happening. And then what happens? Oh yeah, he gets tickets to a really, really cool club. This is another really cool thing about this film, is that there's no music in it. There's kind of this weird tone that'll every now and then, but not really any music. The only music you hear is the music in the clubs. Like whenever they go somewhere and they have music playing, and it's just like almost overbearing and really intense, and they have like crazy lights. This film is really like vibrant in the color. Like it'll get really dark and grungy, but then all of a sudden it'll get super vibrant and colorful, and it's almost like if you are prone to seizures, you shouldn't watch it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But fast forwarding to, he's seeing kind of for the first time how strung out and what's happening with her sister at these strip clubs and what's going on there. He's going back in time and thinking of stuff like how he first meets people and stuff, and now he's going to the present. So, the pimp that's dating his sister gets her pregnant. Yeah. And it shows pretty much like a full abortion.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's full frontal. It's like
her vagina and the thingy going in and the whole pulling the baby thing out. Whatever it is you do to have an abortion, it shows it.
Yeah. Yeah. It was...
And that blew my mind. I was like, okay, they're gonna simulate this and whatever, and I'm like, oh my god, they're showing the steps to this.
Yeah.
It blew my mind a little bit, but he was almost gonna. He looked down. The spirit looked down at the baby, like the little fetus, and I think
he tried to resurrect it for a second.
Yeah, kind of. He just kind of observed it or goes down there to it, and I think he feels upset. His spirit or whatever, but you can't hear anything. But anyway, excuse me. His friend that introduced him to the book, to the drug dealer and all that stuff, the foreign guy, has always asked about his sister. Like he's always had a thing for his sister. I think. So finally, his spirit sees the sister and his friend finally having sex. They're going at it. And I don't think it bothers him that much because this part right here is crazy because this is nearing the end of the film. But he fast forwards through time to see where they are, and it shows the baby, and he's kind of able to check himself in the future out. And I say that, I'll tell you why I say that in a minute, but he's able to see their child together and them in the future, and it shows the Twin Towers. I
don't remember that.
Yeah, at the end, like out the window, he fast forwards to the future, and he sees the child older because they're having sex. He ends up impregnating her, his foreign friend, and they end up, I guess, moving back to America or something like that. But it looks like it shows like the Twin Towers in the distance, and I'm wondering if this, what year does this take? This takes place in the past because they have flip phones.
That's true.
So I think this is pre 9/11.
Okay.
And I think,
Well, but I mean, let's see. Well, I mean, but he had like a flip phone that had like an LCD screen on the front that was like doing all kinds of crap. I don't think we had that.
yeah, no,
maybe
but,
maybe they just didn't have the budget to like be like.
well, you know how Tokyo and all that stuff, they have crazy stuff over there that we don't
That's
even
true.
get for like 5 years later.
That's true.
Or they experiment with so many tech gadgets over there that are hit or miss.
Yeah, that you might be right on that. Okay,
So I don't know. I just thought it was really weird because everything seemed like older with the flip phones and all that, even for the 2009. But anyway, he kind of sees the future of this, and he looks out the window. And to me, it looks like the Twin Towers. And I'm going off a rough memory, but he decides to come out and actually go into the baby that's in her stomach later.
Let's talk. Well, you want to talk about that entire sequence? That entire scene is
3 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well, let's just speed through it. He goes through that apartment, and it's just like he goes through one room to the next room to the next room, and it's just a bunch of fucking. And I would not doubt that this was real. This looks real.
Yeah, it has to be.
But then he gets to his sister, and then there's also a sequence really quick, like where he comes across the mother that he had sex with, his buddy's mother that he had sex with, and he comes into first person view and like is looking at her like as if he's having sex with her, and then she turns into his mother for a second. It's very strange.
Right.
Then he fast forwards over to his sister having sex with the other dude. He goes into her uterus. And then you see dude's dick coming straight up at the camera, and he splooges all over the. I mean, I'm not making this up.
Yeah, this looks like the real thing happening.
Yeah, I'm blunt. Like I was just kind of jaw dropped when I was watching this for the first time. And then he inhabits the baby, which I think kind of comes full circle to the whole idea of being resurrected.
Yeah, and then he's initially. He's kind of crying and stuff like that when she has him, and I think almost you assume that you're someone else and you don't have the memory because your spirit, like your brain, has to develop from brand new because you're actually in a physical form now, so it has to learn everything all over, and I think you gradually forget, like who you were.
It's basically saying that reincarnation is a thing.
Yeah,
I guess
and that's kind of like the whole moral of the thing.
Yeah,
everything. No matter how vulgar it is, there's also stuff in there with the family issues and the brother and sister and how life is for some people and how it goes bad. But it also has this thing with this reincarnation and how your brain develops and you may forget who you were and everybody was somebody else.
Yeah. And I guess it's a way of saying you always get another chance. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it's really weird. It's one of those things where you got to watch it, and I think that you could have a dozen people in a room, they could watch it, and then everybody would debate the film, and nobody would be in agreement together on certain things.
Probably.
Yeah,
and you might have a couple people stand up and walk out.
Oh, absolutely. Like I had to watch this, I'll be honest, I watched it in 2 days. Like about middle ways I had to stop it because some of these scenes are just long, and I understand why they're that way. I totally do, but I just didn't have the time
I agree. There were times when I was like, I get it. This person is having sex.
Yeah, please move on. But it's like that for a reason.
Yeah. I mean, it's uncomfortable. I think yeah, you're right. It tries to invoke a feeling or discomfort in you. And it works.
Yeah, but I mean, I totally honestly watching it, I still give it like a 4.5 out of 5 stars because it's just worth it for the effort.
Yeah. I mean, the technique, the the amount, like I said, the amount of attention to detail that was put into this is just mind-boggling.
Yep. And
It's
anyway,
impressive.
that's it. Oh, and also my movie for you is
Mhm.
Spring. It's on
All right.
Amazon on demand.